Welcome back to another episode of Sentience, Conversations about Lives Being Lived. I'm your host, Alison. As I thought through how I would bring this episode to life, the concept of honor kept coming to me. An honoring of people, of land, of history, of memories, of an entire town. But how do I truly convey that through this platform? As I sat further with this word, honor, the message became very clear. Tell the stories that need to be told. On August 8th, 2023, the beautiful island of Maui in Hawai'i experienced a level of devastation and loss that is complex for the human mind to comprehend. Our tiny island home, an oasis in the Pacific Ocean that has gifted so many with an identity, space to heal, to discover oneself, and to learn the art of truly living life, became engulfed in flames, altering lives and families entirely. Each person who witnessed that day in real time has a story that will never leave them. If I sit still enough, I can still hear the sound of the hurricane-strength winds whipping past my face as I hurried to fill my car with what I could before evacuating my home in Kula with my son. We spent that night in the car in a grocery store parking lot with countless other people who had a similar plan, it seemed. I felt safe in that parking lot with more building than land surrounding, less to catch fire, I hoped. Since that day, I have been immersed in work related to the Maui fires in many different ways, but it is the stories that I find the deepest connection to, the human experience of what happened on that terrifyingly dark day. It is shocking to know so many people personally who lost everything they knew and owned. As the world watched in horror from screens thousands of miles away, the people of Maui saw decades of work and memories disappear in a matter of hours right in front of their eyes. How do you move forward after an experience like this? Aside from putting one foot in front of the other, how do you learn to live again? As soon as I had cell reception on what I have termed that day, I checked in with today's guests, knowing they were in Lahaina. Until I heard back, I felt panic, completely disconnected and in the dark despite being so nearby. As I learned more and more of their story and process to move forward, I found myself in complete awe of the depths of their strength and resilience. Their roots not only on Maui, but Lahaina itself. Their commitment to family and community. It truly is an honor to call them my friends. Mark and Kathy Bettencourt, thank you so much for your willingness to be here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. It really is an honor that you are here today, and I thank you for being here to tell your story and talk about your lives here on the island. It's just, I wish it could be under lighter circumstances that we were here together, but your story is so powerful and moving and inspiring, and so I thank you. Thank you truly for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And we have also a special guest, Honi is here with us, who is taking a nap right now. So it's a pleasure to have you all here today. So we have so much to talk about, and I have Kleenex here if you guys need it. I think we all will. But we have so much to talk about today. And so if we can start by you guys just telling us a little bit about yourselves, and we'll dive more into like the ancestors and everything, but if you want to just introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about you.
All right. My name is Mark Bettencourt. I was born and raised on Maui. I lived in Lahaina most of my life. My mom was born in Lahaina. My dad was born in Waimea, Kauai. And so I was born on the only hospital on the island, Maui More Hospital, with my siblings. And we grew up in Pukali, which is north of Lahaina. And then we moved to Lahaina when I was, I think, 4 years old, to Waikuli Terrace. And now we presently live in Ko'ula subdivision with me and my wife and my 3 kids and our animals, which was devastated, destroyed from the fire.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm Kathy Bettencourt. I was actually born in California, Los Angeles, but came over when I was 3 months old, so I was just a baby. So Lahaina was my hometown. Sorry. So I spent most of my life in Lahaina. I went to all the schools, Kamehameha Third School, Lahaina Intermediate was a new school, and then Lahaina Luna High School. So I attended the 3 schools in Lahaina at the time. Graduated and then married Mark in 1989. So it's been going on, 35 years that we've been married. But we moved to my home, which was in Ko'ula subdivision. That was where I grew up from when I was 6 years old. Prior to that, I lived right across the street from Kamehameha Third School. So up until 6 years old, then the new housing was made and we moved there, my family and I. And then when Mark and I got married, we lived there. So so it was a house that I knew to be my home for, over 50 years.
And that's the home that you were living in with your family now.
Yeah.
That was lost.
Yes, that was burnt, yes.
Okay. Now, in our conversations, you had indicated that you guys had very different experiences on that day. Can you both share a bit about how that day was for you, like what it was like? Because you were in 2 different places, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So can you share what you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah, it
about
was,
that?
I guess the electricity went off about 5 o'clock in the morning. And so we had no electric. Also, so we had no cell service as well as no internet. So basically we're in the dark from 5 o'clock. It's still dark because light doesn't come up to probably 6, 7. So the whole time, we were at our home with my son and the animals.
Yeah, this
my
was
wife.
actually the 3 of us were home in the
daughter,
morning.
My daughter was in California on vacation, and my daughter actually lives on Oahu, so only was us 3 with the animals, and we were at home, and the winds were just crazy wild blowing. Nothing has I ever seen in my life. And when we're in the house, it felt like the roof was gonna blow out. That's how bad it was. And to experience that, and usually things like this come and they just go, but this one just kept coming and coming and coming and never stopped. And so that was kind of like an unusual situation for us. And the crossface of the going into the attic in the house was just popping off. You couldn't keep it down. It would just keep blowing off, like blowing out of the the ceiling basically, and blowing into the ceiling. You put it back, it'll blow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how bad it was. So I knew something was really wrong because I'm in the industry of remodeling and all this kind of thing. So I never experienced something like that. And the roof was blowing off like playing cards. All you could hear is and then you look at everybody's roof around the neighborhood, that's all you saw. And the trees were just blowing, circling, in every direction.
Wow. And on that side of the island, is it usually more protected from those types of winds?
Yes, we're protected because of all the rest of the islands. So we don't really get those kind of strong winds. We have what they call Kona winds, which blows one way, and the trade winds blows the other way. But this was blowing in every direction, so you couldn't tell where it's going to go. And
So during the day, he was
we were
really
cleaning
concerned
Yeah.
about everything that was flying around. So of course,
Like actual tree branches.
tree
Right,
branches. Yeah,
right.
so
So
I
he was
cut
out
it.
cutting,
the
you
neighbors'
know.
yards, so it
Yes.
wouldn't fall anywhere.
fall
our
on the
house.
houses, you know. So
and
he's
we're cleaning up as the storm was coming,
Mhm.
not knowing what was going to happen.
Mhm.
But we were trying to clean up all the mess. Every time we seemed to clean it up, it's straight back the same thing that we picked up is back on the ground. So we stopped and we just let it go after a while because there was no.
But it was like you could hear. We actually talked about it because we said, "Oh my gosh, this is not like just Kona winds, you
This
know,
is
which is
different.
the normal Kona winds coming from one direction. This was coming from this side. It was coming from straight ahead. It was coming from this side, and then you feel the whole circle, and then like just over the trees in the next neighborhood, it seemed like
A roaring,
you could hear,
a
this
roaring
roaring sound like a
just
train was going
went
through.
through.
It was so
Oh,
loud
yeah.
and shaky, and that's when we knew we got to pick her up. She's playing in the yard, right? And
Yeah.
she's blind also, so
She
we're
can't
like,
see at
she
all.
can't see, and the wind throws her off because she works on her senses to hear and know where she has to go. So she's just confused, and but you can hear that sound, and so we just we pick her up, and right after that you can hear that it comes over and just takes, and it comes in all directions like this from just the winds are just crazy.
So that's what that noise was
That-
the
Yeah,
winds.
it was like
Sound-
a roaring,
yeah.
something like coming down a tunnel, like a roar.
Yeah,
That's all you hear, really, really loud.
Really, really loud, yeah.
Yeah.
And and then we knew that it's going to hit us next, and so it did. And then it would stop again. And then we'd be out there and like, oh, hurry up, we got to, he's cutting down branches, we got to cut this, so I got to put this away, put that away. And we were scrambling the whole morning because there's no electric, so none of us even had our cell phones because we were just working, right? And so this is my son and the three of us, we're just working in just trying to protect the house because we were thinking, the roof might fly, all that stuff, but we just have to protect the house because we thought it was going to pass. It's
Right.
winds, it's going to pass. So, and then I was like, oh, I have to get ready to go to work. So we go back into the house. Mark had to go to the store to buy something for the house. I forget what it was. He went to Ace. So then he comes back, he goes, Kat, if you work at 2 o'clock, we probably should leave at 1 because there's traffic. There's a lot of traffic. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, man, I was really hoping I didn't have to go into work today. It's really crazy winds.
Well, that's when the telephone poles are all down on the highway.
Right.
Already. And this was like right before 1.
Yeah, and so he comes home and tells me that, and so I got ready, and about maybe 1:10 or so we're heading out, and I had reception right outside my house. So I said, I'm gonna call in and see, if I really have to go to work. So I called, and my boss answers, and I said, do I really need to come to work today? And he goes, yes, please. I said, okay. Well, I might be late, but I just thought I'd let you know because I heard that there's traffic and blah, blah, blah. So, okay. So we're heading in, and we go to the area called David Malo. There was so much traffic on the highway, we cut off and we went to David Malo. And through that area, this huge tree branch falls right in front of the car that's in front of us.
Okay.
Like, oh my gosh, trees are flying, right? Branches, not just branches, it seemed like the tree was
The
flying.
whole tree.
And we're like, whoa. So then he got me to work, going the back roads and whatnot. We get to work, and then it's like, we got there early, in fact, like about 1:35, 1:40, something like that. And we're like, oh, we made it. And then I said, well, I better probably go and check in because, he wanted me here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of wind, so I'll just hang out over here and go in early. But I had already packed an overnighter for me, an extra uniform set, and then I had extra clothes. But that was just mainly because I thought, the winds are going to be so bad, they might need me out here. So that's what I had in my backpack. And I said my goodbyes to him, and I went in, and I'm thinking the whole time, he better get home because my son is home by himself.
So he stayed home. Okay.
Right, and I'm thinking, what if Mark doesn't make it home because the branches were just coming down, as we're driving. So I was kind of really concerned about that. And then I got this text from him saying, oh, I'm home, you know, I made it home, and so we're going to clean up. So I'm thinking, okay, that's great, you know. So that we had a little bit of reception, text-wise. Then a little bit later, he texts me again, and he says, oh, you know, we had our roofing paper all in the front yard because he was going to put the roof, a new roof up. And then he's all like, Bear, who is across the street from us, Bear Kiahi, he says, oh, Bear told me that part of my roof was coming off, so so Marcus and I went upstairs and nailed it down. I'm like, now they're out on our roof, crazy winds.
On
I'm
the second
thinking
floor.
on the second floor roof, not even only the first floor roof, but on the second floor roof. So you got to get onto this one roof first before you climb up to the next roof, right? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're doing this when the winds are crazy, and I was there when the winds were crazy, so I was kind of nervous. But that was kind of the last conversation we had through text, and then there was nothing. And so
You
I'm
lost
at
all cell
Sheraton.
reception.
All cell
Everything went
reception.
blank after that.
So I'm at Sheraton, and he's at home with Marcus.
So when I dropped her off, usually it's only like 10, 15-minute drive, but it took me, I think, 45 minutes to almost an hour. So what I did is I head down the highway, and the traffic was really, really bad.
Was it like gridlock?
Yeah, you couldn't go. We were just moving, I don't know, 5 miles an hour or something. Everything was blocked off. So I turned up to the fire station, went down the road, went through Hawaiian Homes, came out through Waikuli, crossed over to Fleming Road to Front Street, and I headed down Front Street. As I was heading down Front Street, everything was blowing, roofs, everything. Then when I got to Lion Luna Road, all I could see was the Totang roof, which is the old building roofs, all flying off the roofs. I said, wow, man, this is really dangerous. So I kept going, and as I kept going, seemed like as I was going home, everything was just falling in the back. It's just like a movie. You know, you
I
don't
was
even,
just gonna say, that's
you don't
what it
even
sounds
see,
like.
you don't even see this normally. And I was like, wow, this is really, really weird. So when I got home, you know, my son was there, and we stayed at home, and this was about 2:30. So we just hung out with all the neighbors in front of our house, talking story and planning our escape. You know, so everybody was just helping one another, telling us, you know, just get ready and we'll leave all together. So it came about, I think, 5:30, and they said, you know, it's getting close. And all we could hear was just boom after boom, just like something was exploding. So it was just like a movie, but we were in it. And then I think it was about 6 o'clock when the fire was right down the road from me at the church. And I could see the flames, I could feel the heat. That's how bad it was,
Oh, wow.
you know. So that's when we all decided, well, it's time to go. So our whole neighborhood street, which is Alio Street, we all got in our cars and we all strode out together. So I know that we all survived because we all left as neighbors because we're all pretty close because I take care of mostly all the houses there. So we all left and everybody got out. So everybody got, and when we had to leave, we only had one way out. And that's to head on the highway and head towards the other side of the island. And there's no turning back. And they weren't letting people turn back to go the other way. So we left, and once you got to Malaya, that was it. You cannot go back. So if you look back, that's all you can see. You can't go back. It's a one-way out. So they blocked it off. So we, you know, me and my son, we went and drove around. We got something to eat, and then we actually parked at the Ocean Center to spend the night, all night trying to get a hold of her, which we couldn't because there was no reception. And my daughters was trying to call from Honolulu to my wife. They couldn't get her. My other daughter in California was trying to call, couldn't get to her. My son couldn't. So we ended up staying there sleeping. We got up in the morning, same thing. So we headed to Costco to go buy some food, you know, to have some croissants, so just to put in the cooler so that we could have something to eat.
Right.
So we spent that day, we drove around, parked, slept, you know, all day just thinking, you know.
And they took the 3 dogs. So we have Honi, and then they also took Marcus's dog, Aki, and Carlena's dog, Auli'i.
And then we had the family dog, the
And
big dog, which
the
was
big dog
Kuma,
they
that we couldn't take.
ended up
You know,
leaving.
we already had a full load of car already. And when we left, we left 2 cars behind because I didn't want my son to drive and get separated from me. So we left in 1 car. And, you know, but my son insisted, Dad, I can drive. I told him, no, I don't want to be separated from you, because if you turn right, I turn left, we might not see each other again, you know. So we decided to take 1 car.
And I'm glad they did, but I didn't. So on my end, at Sheraton, we were getting really busy. People were actually starting to be told that they were needing to evacuate because Lahaina's on fire. Not being told, but they were talking with their neighbors, and people were talking amongst themselves, some of them.
Okay.
And so we would catch those people that said, yeah, it was on fire, and when we were coming through, they told us we either go one way or the other. You can't turn. So once you get out of Lahaina, you couldn't go back in. And that's what they were told. So they're now trying to find places to stay. So we had a lot of people coming to the Sheraton. Do you have any room? Do you have any room? And it was really sad because I forget, I don't even know the time frame of it, but I remember there was a time when a friend of mine came through, and her and her
dad.
No, the grandma. So the Kitaguchis came through. And they were telling me that they needed a room, and I said, I'm so sorry, we don't have rooms. And they were like, well, we need to, you know, we were trying to look for Albert, who is
her brother.
Wanda's son. But they said he went out on his bike and whatnot, but I think he might have gone back home. We're trying to look for him. But we were also looking for a place to stay because Wanda is an older lady. She's, I think she's probably about 90 or so, or 80 something, you know. She's older. And so it's Wanda's great-granddaughter. I don't know who she was with. Anyways, she was with the younger lady. It got really hard because later on I found out that Albert did go back to the house, and he did pass away. He was one of the early birds
mentioned in the
mentioned that he passed away. So it was really, so that one was kind of difficult because I know that I told them that they couldn't, you know, we didn't have room. And after I told them we didn't have room, a little bit later we were informed, no, we can take all the locals. But we were so unorganized on that end at the Sheraton because nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody understood. We didn't have, and we still had tourists. We had a whole hotel full of tourists, you know, and everybody's questioning what's going on, and we don't know. We don't have any cell reception. We don't have any internet. We can't. We have no knowledge of what's happening
right down
anywhere.
the road.
And so we were just, you know, I mean, it's hotel work. That's what I was doing. I was working. And it was just, you know, slowly through the night, there's more locals that started coming. And then we didn't turn anybody away. We were trying to tell them, come. We have the ballroom. We opened up a ballroom for all the locals to come. And if they don't have anywhere, they can stay there.
Okay.
But we didn't realize that in the early on when the Kitaguchis came through. You know, I felt so bad because I had to tell them. I turned around, I asked if we have room, and they said no. We didn't have spare rooms per se, but you know, little did they know they were actually going to open up the ballroom. We didn't get there yet, you know. But anyhow, so I'm not really sure where they spent the night, but anyhow, that was just one case. There were other cases where this girl came through and she was crying because she got separated from her dad. So here I was thinking, I wonder what happened at our house, because I couldn't even reach them. And you know, we did have 3 cars. So did Marcus drive 1 car? Did Mark drive 1 car? And did they stay together? Did they separate? What happened to them? Because this girl came, she was following her dad in a different vehicle. And she was following him, but then at the stop point, the police told her dad to go one direction and her to go the other direction. She said, but that's my dad. And they said, no, you need to go this way. They directed her out opposite from her dad. She couldn't follow him. So then she drove around, and they couldn't go to their meeting point, which was Canoe Beach, and they couldn't go there because that was blocked off. So she just drove to the Sheraton because that's where her dad worked.
I see.
She did the smart thing, but dad, on the other hand, didn't know what was going on because now he can't find her. He was out 24 hours looking for her. They had the most awesome reunion the next day, but it was a whole night of fear for dad and family, and she was crying because she had no clue, but she did the right thing. I was so proud of her for coming there. She was just, you know, I mean, she probably was early 20s, you know, but still a young girl, you know,
Yes.
and she's driving around by herself. She was sitting in the car crying, and that's where I approached her. And so, you know, those scenes were coming through to the Sheraton. And I work as a bell clerk at the Sheraton, so I'm the initial, you know, here, you know.
You saw
I
everything.
see everybody
Yes.
coming through. So it was, that was a rough night, and we found out somebody had cell reception up in the top area of Black Rock. So this didn't happen till like maybe 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning. So we drove up to that area, and they were all walking around like this, you know, trying to catch cell reception. And it was like, that's also like the movies, you know, do I got a bar? Do I got, you know, oh
Right.
yes, I got a bar. And as soon as I had 2 bars, I bring it down, and I lost the bar again, and so I can't call out. I had to put it back up in the air, and I remember going like that and touching the numbers up here and be like, okay, you know, I got through, and I finally got to tell him I'm okay, and
So
you know,
you
got
guys were
to
able
talk
to
to
connect.
him,
Yeah.
and I said, you know, I'm okay. I'm with Sheraton. I'm okay. But at that point, we were talking about evacuating possibly, because near the Hyatt, they were talking about the smoke coming, and the fire might be coming this way, so we might have to evacuate. So we were waiting on the Hyatt and all the other hotels to see if they're going to evacuate. And we were, I guess, you know, so the managers were all in contact talking about that. Well, we were, you know, just waiting for direction. But I told them, I said, I had heard we might have to evacuate. So that was in the middle of the night. But that was,
Then
so
the-
Tuesday, so all of Tuesday, but it was Wednesday, 1:30, 2:30 in the morning that I finally got him and said, hey, you know, but we might have to
But
evacuate.
that was
so
the last time I talked to her before
was-
picking her up
Yeah.
Wednesday night at 9 o'clock at Walgreens.
At Walgreens.
Yeah, she caught a ride with one of her co-workers, and they drive to here.
Yeah.
Then I was on this side, so I picked her up. So I didn't talk to her from, you know, I probably talked to her like 2 times. The first time, like about maybe 3 minutes, saying that she's okay, we're okay. The next time, she's saying that she might have to
Right.
stay over,
Yeah.
but she's gonna probably have to leave because they're running out of food, water. It's just like a movie, you know, coming to an end, you know.
There was
And-
no
and-
food, no water, everybody, no gas.
Yeah.
Everything was closing down. People were trying to, you know, people are in panic mode. They're, you know, and it's all coming on the north end, right? So everybody, you know, Ka'anapali and beyond is where people were going, you know, escaping,
everybody
right?
was going
They're
up
all
there,
trying
right.
to. And so it was kind of a really, really crazy first night, because we went up to the old Sheraton lobby, which is the very top. We call it's Building 5 is what we call it. But up there, we looked out and you see all of Lahaina just burning. So it's just, you know, we saw
Something
that.
you'll
and
never
so,
forget.
no,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
My heart goes out to you both. I'm so sorry that you had to live through that.
Yeah. But the good thing
But
is
we're-
we're all alive, you
Yes.
know.
Safe, we're safe. And my daughter, thank goodness she was in California. I called her to tell her, make sure Dad does not try to come back to Lahaina. Tell Dad, stay on that side. You have cell reception, you have food, you have, you know, you have things on that end, you have gas. if you come to Lahaina, there's nothing, because we had nothing that night. All the stores, everything was just, we had nothing.
Yes.
The gas stations were closing down. Everything was closing down, and so there was nothing for the people, you know. And so I just told her, I said, Carlena, just make sure, you know, he doesn't come out this way, because I know that he's going to try and get me. Don't. Tell him don't, because I'll make it to that side. Somehow, right? I was thinking somehow we're going to go back that side. And
So it was on this side that
it
you
was
guys
in
reconnected?
Lahaina.
Yeah, at the Walgreens in Wailuku.
Oh, in Wailuku. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she was already on her way when she called me. So basically, you know.
I said I'm gonna be there, so I can catch a ride tonight. And so that all happened after we knocked on all the doors of the rooms. You know, at the hotel, we had to tell them it's time to evacuate, because you know they did that mandatory evacuation Wednesday,
Okay.
but not till Wednesday night. So Wednesday night is when we were knocking and telling them, you got to get out. You know, the buses are coming. You know, you guys need to leave. They're like, what about our
That's
cars?
right. They had the buses. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that I remember
And
that.
then a lot of them had rent-a-cars, but we're like, nope, you have to leave your rent-a-cars, just you're going on the bus, you know. So that was, everybody was like that. We're just like, no, you gotta go, get out.
Right now.
And there were actually a few people that didn't want to go and said, no, I paid until this day, I want to stay. And I said, well, the hotel is closing tomorrow because we have no food to serve you. The food is going to go bad, right?
No water,
By
no electric.
no nothing.
Electricity.
We don't have anything. So the hotel is
Gonna
closing.
run out.
And yeah, there was a couple that were adamant of staying, and the security and whatnot had to actually have them removed. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was kind of strange. We're like, why are you fighting us? But you know, whatever.
Right.
But after everybody left, then we were told we can leave as well, if we had to, you know. And I just wanted to get to see them because I didn't talk to them. So.
Yes. I can't even imagine. It must have felt like a lifetime.
It was like that. Yeah, that's what
Between
it felt
when
like.
he dropped you at work and
Yeah.
then reconnecting.
And I kept thinking, you know, it's so funny how the emotions run, and I kept thinking, why did you tell me to come to work? I'm like, I could have been home with my family. You know, there were times like that in the middle of it. And then other times I'm just like, well, I'm doing my job, you know, I'm working, and it's fine. I enjoy my work, so it's great. But yeah, I was like, I don't know what's going on with my family. Everybody's
Yeah, it was just like,
all over the place. And
it's like living in a time when everything's gone. You know, it felt like everybody's on their own.
And it was because Carlena was in California, Crystalia is on Oahu with her husband, and they had their social media, they had the internet, right? They were looking at
They were watching
the chaos,
Yeah.
Right.
and they couldn't get a hold of me, right? They finally got a hold of Mark because Mark came to this side of the island.
There was a bit more reception on
But-
this side.
Yeah.
They-
But Lahaina is
you
bad
know,
anyway for reception.
It's
It's been like for years
Even I remember
on the
just
poly. You know, everywhere you go, there's you think that in an open land should be all reception, but there
no,
isn't.
But
you
there
know.
isn't, and so so that was that. But
Yeah.
that was.
Other than that, we're doing good. We're
We have a
surviving.
place to
Yeah, we have a
stay.
place to stay. You know,
And,
we have family.
right before that, so when they came to pick me up, he said he ran into his cousin at Costco.
Yeah, that was like a story too. You know,
Yeah.
I came out of Costco. I got lost because my son was in the car with the animals, and I gave him the key, and I couldn't remember where I put the car. So I went walking around. Then by chance, my cousin was there jumping in her truck, and then she opened the door. She goes, "Mark, my mom's been trying to get old Kathy all day. This and this." I told Mom, she's at work and there's no reception. And so she asked us, she told me, well, where are you guys staying? My mom wants you guys to come stay with us. So from that point on was like, and they opened their house up to us. So my cousin, we went in dinner with my cousin, then we stayed at her sister's house, and we stayed there until we got her, and my auntie insisted that, we stay there. So, we've been staying there, but we've been staying at the hotel because it's closer for us, but,
But we were up there for initially, which was really nice. I couldn't even go back to Lahaina for a while. It was really weird because I thought I was ready, and we were with the kids, and Carlena came back from California. We picked her up at the airport, and we were like, okay, let's go to Lahaina. Not thinking anything, driving over, and all of a sudden we get to the Pali and didn't even get to Scenic Lookout, and I just started bawling, and I was like, we gotta go back, we gotta go back. I can't make it.
Can't do
You
it.
know, I can't make it. So he pulls over, like, then we turned around and we went back, and I was just like, I didn't realize, I guess until that point, I guess I hadn't really cried. I hadn't really thought about it too much, and you know, or I'm just, you know, not really, I was just holding it all in, you know, and it's just like, but at that point I was like, I can't make it. And so I went back and I went, how am I going to go to work? I can't even pass through the Pali. How am I going to get to work? Right. And I was, in my head I was thinking, so I do like my work at Sheraton, so I thought, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to make it there, right? And I get to see my friends there that I left last, you know, a while before. I mean, this was on Friday that Carlena came home. So Friday, and it was Wednesday that I left them. So I thought, oh, I'll just go back and I'll see who all's there and see how they pulled through, whatever, you know. Yeah, I couldn't make it. And so then I had to wait until a few days later, and then made our way back. And once I was able to make it, then I said, okay, now maybe we can move back to the Sheraton.
But I've been going back because I've been, you know, driving for the world, taking food in there. Driving food for the, you know, all the people who got displaced and all.
Yes, and I'm really excited to talk about that in a moment, because the work that you guys are doing, even after everything that has happened, is extraordinary. You know, and giving back to the community, and it's extraordinary what you guys have been able to push through with to give back. And so well, I want to say thank you for sharing your story, because I can't imagine that it is at all easy to talk about. And so I thank you so much for sharing that day with me and with the viewers, because this is a story that can't be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And the voices need to be heard.
Exactly.
And so thank you for sharing that. Okay, before we jump into the work with World Central Kitchen and Best Buddies, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your history with Lahaina, and it goes back generations. And we actually have a really a great picture I'd love to pull up of you guys from elementary school. If we can pull that up, please, just to show the viewers. So this was at King Kamehameha III Elementary Street, on Front Street.
Yes.
Elementary school on Front Street. So you guys met for the first time in kindergarten and first grade?
Well, we're in the same class. I was a kindergartner and she was a first grade. We didn't know each other then, but there was like 3 classes in one portable, 3 teachers.
That's extraordinary.
It's kind of fun because, I mean, I don't think we even knew it until later on.
Until later when we looked at the picture.
Yeah, we became an adult. And
Yeah.
It was funny because I think he asked, we were talking about grade school and whatnot, and like, no, I was in that class. No, I was in that class. It's like, wait a minute. And then we pop out a picture. It's like, whoa, we're in the same picture. and we weren't even that far away from each other. So it was kind of funny, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah. But you met in middle school.
We met
at Lahaina Intermediate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's one other picture I'd love to pull up of Kathy as a Luna at Lahaina Luna High School in the band.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So,
and I gave this one to you. I'm actually playing drums, and my best friend is on the cymbals, Normalin. But
this is Front Street?
Right, it's on Front Street, but I gave you this picture because it's showing the back of it is Prison Street. So this is Prison Street all the way up.
And close to the Camp 3rd School,
Okay.
On the left side, there was a gas station that's now, I believe, like Harley Davidson. No, it's the Kava place. It used to
okay.
be Harley Davidson or whatever, and now it's a Kava place.
It was the Matsumoto gas station.
Right, Matsumoto gas station was what that was. And then on the right side of that was where the old fire station used to be when I was growing up.
Okay.
So.
Okay, can we dive into that? And then there's a nice clip that we put together of some of your ancestors from Lahaina. That you go back generations and generations, so to the early 1900s, and the Pioneer Inn. And if you want to talk a bit about that, it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, so my great-grandfather was born in Hakalau, Big Island. And I think when he was, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, whatever, he was, I think he then sent out for a picture bride from Japan, because they were doing that in those days. And so then he moved to Lahaina.
Okay.
And then the picture bride was my great-grandmother. And I remember the story, because I interviewed them for high school, one of my papers. And it was funny because my great-grandmother said, I was so relieved when I saw your great-grandfather, because everybody else had a picture of who they're supposed to meet, but the person that they met was like 30 years older.
Oh, no.
And that, if you ever saw the movie Picture Bride, that's exactly what happened. This young 15, 16, I don't know, whatever, young girl comes over, and here they're meeting a 40-year-old man.
Oh, wow.
Because they send their picture of when they were young
Right.
to call over, but then that's not who they are, right? And so my great-grandfather was, still in his teens.
Actually, what?
And actually, so she
was expecting.
scored. She scored. And so she gets off, and she's so relieved. They lived in Lahaina, and they both ran the Pioneer Inn. So Pioneer Inn, I believe, started in like 1901.
I think so, 1901.
But my great-grandparents were there probably just 15, 16, 17, something like that, or the early 1920s. I'm not really sure, but they were running the Pioneer Inn, meaning he was the caretaker as far as maintenance and whatnot. And then my great-grandmother was the one who served the food, did the beddings, did the housekeeping. But he used to talk about running the projector. They used to run a projector. And for the sailors who came through, because Lahaina was still it was the capital. And the sailors would come in, and they'd run projectors to do like films, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. But that's so that was the Pioneer Inn. And then they my great-grandfather started Kanemitsu Shipping Company. My maiden name was Kanemitsu. Kanemitsu Shipping Company was, at the time, the only shipping company on Maui.
On Maui, okay.
Yeah, and so that ran for a few years until my dad's generation didn't want to take it over. So they didn't, so then the company stopped, I guess.
Okay, and you said that was about the 1960s?
So maybe 60s, yeah,
Okay.
early 60s or something like that.
Okay, and then I feel like this is a very important historical piece. Do you want to talk about your great-grandmother's house?
Oh, yeah, so they lived on Prison Street, like we showed earlier. So Prison Street, right up on Prison Street, the third house on the left was theirs. That was my great-grandfather's house, and next to that was their big garage, and in the back of the garage was where my grandmother lived. It was all connected, and in the backside there was a bathhouse, the only wood-burning bathhouse when I was growing up.
In the whole town?
In the whole town, yeah. That was actually, I don't know why whoever took it over didn't just keep it as a museum.
It sounds like it would have been amazing.
Been perfect.
Yes.
But anyhow, it was my great-grandfather's house, so is now known as the Prison Street Pizza. And that was where I grew up until I was about 5 or 6, and then moved to our Ko'ula subdivision house. But
I can't imagine what it was like walking into the pizza place with those memories.
Walked in and looked at everything and all the changes that they made. They did make changes, because initially when I used to walk into my great-grandparents' house, the first room on the right was this huge room of sewing, her sewing room. then their small little bedroom, and then you walk down this long hall, and on the right was the bathroom, and then the backside was the kitchen. There was a small little room on this end too, but so they destroyed that part so that they could, because it's like, what is that called? You can't change the outside of the building
The
because
historical
of
site.
the
Historical
historical
site,
site.
But you can do
So
the inside.
you can change the inside. So they cut out everything on the inside, and they made 2 bathrooms closer where my great-grandmother's bedroom was.
Oh.
They made 2 bathrooms there, and then they opened the space of the living room. It was really cool. I thought it was really nice what they did. I mentioned it to them. I'm just standing there staring at everything when I first walked in, and they were looking at me like, "Can I help you?" And I says, "I'm so sorry. I'm just taking it all in because I grew up here." And I got my first free pizza from them. I was like, "Thank you very much. I'll try it. It was great." But yeah, it was, just memories, because I was in that house till my great-grandparents passed away, I'd go and visit them all the way till then. So after that, it became known as Dan's Greenhouse, the big garage that was next to that. Dan's Greenhouse started early 70s. And that was a place where there was like exotic animals and
Fuku bonsais.
yeah, fuku bonsais.
The plant that grows on the lava rock.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was what he sold. That's what they were
He
known
had all
for.
the monkeys, the marmosets,
Yeah.
the toucan,
And then toucans. They're just
cockatoos, all kind of
it was
birds.
kind of nice, yeah. And so Dan's greenhouse was in our big garage, and then my great-grandparents' house was where Dan and his wife stayed at.
Okay.
And then when Mark and I first got married, we moved into the house where my grandmother was living in the back.
Okay.
And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's like, I stayed with that house for a long time.
Right. Right.
Also, she didn't mention Fleetwoods. I think Fleetwoods.
Yeah, Fleetwood's, that building, that was the Takeuchi building next door, their family to us. But that whole Fleetwoods building, that was my first job too, downstairs.
Really?
Because, not Fleetwoods, but it was known as Lahaina Fashions downstairs. My aunt, my 2 aunties were they're just waiting for my cousin and I to turn 14 so we can work down there. It was really funny, we both did. That was our first job. But anyways, that's Lahaina, Lahaina really, we definitely have history there.
You do.
and
You guys are Lahaina.
yeah,
You
it's
are
just-
Lahaina. Well, I would love to run the clip that we have, if we can pull that up, please, of some of the ancestors.
Oh. It's my dad.
It's just wonderful to see these photos, and I think that it's going to touch a lot of people that have roots in Lahaina and memories from a time that doesn't exist anymore. And so thank you for sharing those, Kathy. Thank you.
It's funny that last house. Okay, so the last 2 houses, that's the Kaula subdivision house where we moved into when I was 6.
And
The
that's
last
house
2, the
that-
one that has the dog in the picture.
Okay.
But it's funny because that house
Right next door.
right
to
next
it.
door, the last picture,
If you look at it, it's still
that's
standing
that's the house that's still standing right
next
now.
to our house.
After all the after all the fire,
Untouched.
that house
Untouched.
is untouched.
It's like brand new.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's still there, just like that.
Just like that. Fire is yeah, there's no rhyme or reason with fire. It's just, it blows my mind, like how it can do that. And well, okay, World Central Kitchen. So after everything happened with you, everything, all of this loss, Mark, you jumped right into volunteering with this organization, World Central Kitchen. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing with them and how that came to be and what sort of impact it's had for you and the community?
Yeah, so what happened was Kathy's co-worker called her and said that, you know, they needed some drivers to drive food to Lahaina. So he called and he asked. I said, yeah, I can help, you know. So I decided to go and help them, and, you know, eventually I was driving food to the neighborhoods, to different sites, which was the Gateway, Times, and Napili Market, and delivering food to, you know, the Hawaiian homes. So we went door to door and had sites where they serve hot food every day, and they're still doing it to today. In 1 month into this, and they're still doing it. But, you know.
And they work all over the world.
Yeah, they work all over the world. As soon as the fire was here, I think on the 8th, they were here on the 9th.
Oh, wow.
And they started.
Wow.
You know, so it's a pretty neat thing that they're doing, because it's all volunteer work. You know, it's a nonprofit organization, and to see how they did things was very neat. You know, it's in the beginning it's unorganized because nobody knows what to do, but with all the people, all the volunteers, they all work together, and, you know, it turned out to be something that is now well known to everybody here, especially for me, because I never knew who they were.
It's like a family developed
Exactly.
out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of sad that, you know, I didn't really tell them, but I was one of the only person that was from Lahaina that lost their house, their home.
And you're working with them. And you were actually featured on the news because of that. And Mark, that is a superhero story, because I don't know how you found the strength to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just extraordinary and beautiful, and thank you.
Yeah, it was hard, but it was a way for me to let myself go, to show that even though we lost everything, we still got the family and the community, because that what pulls everybody together, the community and the family. You know, when I did that, it was like refreshing to me, realizing that, you know, this is what we need. All we need is help. All we need is help, somebody to, you know, fall on, so that we all can get out together on this. It's like, it's going to take time and effort of the people, and that's what's happening now. You know, if it wasn't for the people, the families, I don't think this whole thing would be going as smooth, or as smooth as it can go. You know,
If it wasn't for the people.
Exactly. You know, like they always say, Maui no ko'oi. Maui is the best. You know, not just because I say I'm born and raised here. It is the best. You know, you can see it. You know, you talk to everybody from Lahaina. We basically know each other. We're related. You know, we're a close community, you know. And it's always been like that all my life living there. And
It's
to
what
do
set
this,
Maui apart.
yeah.
What
So
sets it
to do
apart.
this, it wasn't something that was hard. It just was a hurt, because you drive into the town area, it's like a ghost town. You know, you only see that on the movies, but it's in real life. And the
And it
people
was your
who,
home.
yeah, the people who lost their homes are the ones that's hurting the most. You know, everybody that didn't lose their home or sees it, they don't feel the same thing that we do. You know, but how we look at it is, you know, we're together, but we just don't have our home, you know. But eventually we'll rebuild, you know, and we'll come back as a community. And that's
Stronger
how,
than ever.
yeah, it's how it's going to be. And we know that it's going to be because the people are strong. You know, they're not going to give up, you know. Like for me, like we were already planning right when the thing burned with my neighbors and all that. We were going to come back together, and if we can't get people to help us, we're going to build it back ourselves.
Yes.
You know, we're going to use that one house that survived as our main point.
and to stay, everybody put tents or whatever, however we're going to do it, and start to help the neighbors build, you know. And it's sad, but it's things that, you know, we cannot blame nobody. The wind, the fire, you know, how are you going to stop it? It was just something that you don't see every day.
It was really cool when he first came back. After the first, not the first day, maybe the second or third day that he came back from going into Lahaina and whatnot, and
With
serving
World Central Kitchen.
with World
Okay.
Central Kitchen, and he was, you know, he served people and he talked to people, you know, reconnected with people he hadn't seen in a while, whatever. It was really neat because he came back and he was so excited about the fact that World Central Kitchen is doing such an awesome job, and he was really
And I was
impressed.
a part of it, and that made
And
it.
he could feel like he was a part of that, helping, and made him feel really, you know, really more connected to everybody.
And what
to
made
Lahaina.
it really neat was World Kitchen really not caught on, but they adapt to how things are. Like everybody's uncle, auntie, cousin, this and that. So, you know, for my nickname is Uncle Mark. You know, I might be, you know, a little older than a lot of all the people there. You know, they don't really know my age, but I know I'm a lot older than a lot of them. Some are only like 20s, you know, early 30s, you know. But I think I'm one of the, you know, there's some other people that's probably older than me, but they're all from different part of the world or United States. Like there's people driving that's from Kahului, Wailuku, but I was the only one from Lahaina driving.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, you know, there's people that lived Lahaina before that moved from the mainland, but they lives here on this side. So there's a lot of different routes, but I think I'm one of the only one, if not any, the one that's born and raised from Lahaina in this whole. But they all know who I am. They all respect me, and they're all nice. You know, they all are there out to help. So if you needed, you know, anything, water, drinks, they just give you. They give you more than what you need.
That's
you
incredible.
know, it's not like take only one. If you need 2, 3, whatever, take what you need. Share with your neighbors. Share. You know, that's how it is. It's a giving thing. And that's why I told them, that's how the people on Maui, Lahaina is. You know, we don't expect you to pay me to do some work. We'll work together, you know, next thing you know, they'll be helping you at your house, you know?
Right.
And that's the only way things will work, you know?
And that they picked up on that.
Yeah, they picked up on
That's-
that really fast, and they could see how the community worked, you know? And they could see how people, you know, although there's certain people in charge, they all can depend on somebody to say that, oh yeah, okay, do this, do this, do this. You know, then we all help out. It's not
But
like
I liked how they had most of the drivers being local people. You know,
Really?
local drivers taking it in. It was not necessarily local like Lahaina local,
but the island of Maui.
but island, you know,
Right.
islanders, you know,
Yeah.
like people that actually, you know, they are local people that live here. So that I thought was really, it's really cool to see that they do things like that. That's you know,
Yes.
it's smart.
And
It's smart
it brings
because-
comfort, I'm sure.
Yeah,
to-
exactly. And
the
the thing
community,
is, you know, maybe we know more of the areas to go,
Right.
so it's easier, and they
Right.
can comprehend and say, oh, can you go this? Oh yeah, okay. You know, it's like, you know, but they still got GPS and all that kind of stuff. So we don't know every little place, but
Right.
we know the main places.
Well, I would love to run the clip that we have for World Central Kitchen of when you were on the news, and that you had the whole family involved with it as well. So if we can please run that.
Most of the volunteers are from Maui, including some who themselves lost homes, but still consider themselves lucky.
Yeah, we are. Actually, we are one of the lucky ones. You know, we lost everything, but my family is still alive, and we still have a place to go, although we just lost our home. But that's replaceable. Like for us, the human life is not replaceable.
That kind of determination and drive is what helps World Central Kitchen crank out an impressive 6,300 meals per day.
just to see the girls' smiling faces. Oh, I've known them since they were so young, and it's just so nice to see.
Yeah, it was kind of neat too, because my daughter came back to visit us from Honolulu, and she like insisted to me, Dad, can I come and help you guys? I said, yeah,
2
come.
days
So
she
she
went.
2 days, or the 4 days she was here, she helped me. You know, and we start like 9, and sometimes we end at 6, 7. But you know, she wanted to help, so that was nice.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
You guys are just the most amazing family, truly. Okay, well, I knew we were going to go more than an hour, and that's okay, because we have so much to talk about. And so thank you, Mark, for sharing about your work with World Central Kitchen. Kathy, and so how we met was through a nonprofit organization called Best Buddies International. And so you are now working with them, and are you specifically doing the Citizens Program? Or are you doing?
So yeah, pretty much mostly Citizens Program. So you know, I was full time at one time, and until Sheraton offered me full time, and then I had to go that way. But anyhow, so I went part time with Best Buddies. Then I went on call with Best Buddies, but then the full time. We don't have another full-time. So instead of being on call, I'm an on-call part-time-ish person right now. But so I don't necessarily run all the programs which go into the schools, and I will help out with events.
Okay.
And then Citizens was really hard for me to actually give up, because Citizens Program, which is the 18 and older program, that we started that couple years ago, and I didn't want to, you know, I mean, because that's sort of my baby, and I like it because it's got all our, you know, kids from who I've known many years. So,
well, Best Buddies is a very special organization, and that's how we met at Lahaina Luna High School all those years ago, when I was with the organization, and I just always loved driving out there. There was something very special about that campus. And just all of the fun things we would do together. Do you remember like the Thanksgiving dinner lunch and
the feast?
And then they had the film festival that they started doing.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Was really,
with the red carpet and
really
everything.
Nice.
I know.
That was really nice. So.
But Citizens, I never worked on that component of Best Buddies, so I'm really just thrilled to see that you've been able to bring it to life. And if we can please run the clip of Kathy's work with Best Buddies here on Maui, and just to show everyone, and actually before we do that, if you're not familiar with Best Buddies, it's an international organization that works with individuals with a disability and focuses on friendship development for on the mainland, they do elementary school even, right?
Yeah, we have an elementary also.
Really?
On Oahu, yes.
Oh, wow. So it's elementary
trying.
through adulthood,
Right.
and the focus is friendship.
Right.
And so if we can please run that clip. Oh, Kathy, that's just incredible. And seeing all of the fun activities you guys have done.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken it to the next
it's-
level, like
So
going
it's
to
really
Lanai
nice
and
because, we've gone to Lanai. We've done, tropical plantation. We just had a gathering over there, and we just, sort of learned about different plants and whatnot. And then we did, we did the most recent, which was really hard for me to cancel, was after the fire. We had
Family
already
fun.
planned. Yeah, at that Family Fun Center, what is it
Mini-
called? Maui Golf and Sports.
Maui.
oh, right,
At
with the mini
Ma'alaia.
golf and the
Yeah.
yes.
With the mini golf, and I couldn't cancel that because majority of the citizens members were from this side of the island,
Mhm.
and myself, and there were two others on the other side of the island that were affected by the fire. But so the other two decided not to go to this event, but I had to keep it going because so many others were looking forward to it. And with their special abilities, they don't necessarily understand the impact that
Right.
it had.
Right.
And I couldn't take away from that. So we continued, we kept that
So this last
photo
photo was
right,
from
the last
after the
photo,
fires.
right.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so that one we had to keep. But we've really done a lot of fun activities as well as educational activities that we're going to try and continue on. But we get together once a month, and these are all adults now. 18 and older is the group called Citizens Group.
Best Buddies Citizens,
Mhm.
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Oh,
it's
but they
all-
have them in every state.
But they still have,
Every
yes,
state?
yes, they have,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. Ah. Oh, it makes my heart so happy to know that you are, overseeing Maui with Best Buddies,
Yeah, it's
because
fun.
I can't imagine a better person to do
I
that.
actually thought I was going to quit at one point, but it doesn't. It somehow, I couldn't. I mean, I actually really love all the kids. Well, they're not
Yes.
kids. They're young
Participants.
adults,
Participants, yeah.
and they are just, they bring me so much joy.
Yes.
That
Yes.
I had a really hard time thinking I was going to completely disconnect from them, and
Yeah.
so I'm glad it's actually saved me after the fire as well, because they call just to see how I'm doing, and they check up on me, and
And
it's
they know
just
about
fun.
the fire.
They
So and they
know,
they send her letters, cards.
I had I had
it's pretty neat,
it's-
And the thing about it is, all our kids was part of it, as mentors,
Yes.
presidents, and so it makes it easier. And so we all, as a family, had a part of it.
So there was a clip in there with the friendship walk, and now so there's always been a friendship walk on Oahu,
Right.
as
right.
you know it, right? And however, we started the friendship walk at the Maui Mall 2 years ago, and now it's on Maui. So we're hoping
Wow.
to continue it. I mean, I don't know how. I'm not sure where we're going to be
Right.
by the time of the friendship walk, which usually is April or May. I'm not sure how it's going to be, so I think we're still in limbo on that one.
We're living day to day. Don't know
yes.
what's going to happen.
Trying to figure that out, yeah. And so Best Buddies as an organization every year they have the Friendship Jam on Oahu.
Mhm.
And that normally happens in November, and this year they, out of respect for Lahaina and the fires, they have they took that out. So we're not doing the Friendship Jam this year. And that's on Oahu, but they're not going to do it because it's hard. It's hard, So they're respecting that, and so then we're talking about the walk, and we're not sure, like I said, where Maui's at. So if we can, sure, we'd have the walk back on Maui, but if not, then it'll possibly just be on Oahu
Oh, okay.
for this coming year. Yeah, but
Okay.
but we're Maui's strong.
Yeah.
I think that maybe I have hopes that we can at least in spirit get back to where we were. I think it's really hard, and it's going to be many
Yeah, we
years
lost friends.
before we
You know,
all.
we lost a lot of friends and all that. But you know,
Yeah. So it's hard, but you know, we're not the only ones going through what
Yeah.
we're going through.
That-
We
that-
are actually doing really well. We
Yes.
have a roof over our head. We have food. We have our clothes. And so when people ask us, you know, do you need, what do you
Anything.
need? Well, right at this point, we don't, because we're good. We don't need anything really other than financially, because that's the only thing that's, you know, that we can hold on till later.
Mhm.
But the clothing and the food and whatnot, at least we have that. We're
Right.
good. So we did, of course, have a Venmo and a GoFundMe that we started up, and super grateful and thankful for everybody that's, you know, given on that part too, because like I said, that's stuff that we have to hold on for when we can rebuild.
Right.
And when
Right.
we have to, you know, we don't know if we're going to have, well, we have to leave Sheraton at some point, I'm sure. And, you know,
Find a
we're
place.
going to have to find a place and keep moving. So
One day at a
that's
time.
One
Yeah.
day at a time. Yeah, one day at a time. So.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the kids and like what has this experience meant for them? And you know, this is their hometown, and all of the work. I mean, like I said, you guys are an amazing family, and I met Cristalea when she was 15, as she was a sophomore in high school, and I remember encouraging. I'm like, you can do this. You can be the president of the club. And
Right.
she went on to be president of Best Buddies Lahaina Luna for all three sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Yeah.
And then Carlena did it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
That was after my time,
Right,
when
right.
she was in high school. But they're just extraordinary. And Marcus, remember when we made the front page of the Maui
Right.
Maui News
Right.
with the Best Buddies event for Lahaina Luna High School years ago? Gosh, my son was like 7 at the time.
Right. He was just little.
But Marcus was there for that, and he was. It's just, you guys are amazing and so compassionate. And so, what has all of this meant for the kids?
Well, like I said, we're still in limbo, so we're not sure. We want to, honestly, we want to be we want to be together. I think there is a strong pull that we were talking about going to Oahu, at least for the year before we can actually rebuild,
For a while.
just so that we can sort of stay closer. But I don't know. I'm not really sure where Mark stands, but myself and Carlena and Marcus, we kind of don't want to even really go back to Lahaina.
Ready for something, a new chapter.
Maybe,
chapter.
yeah. And it's really sad because Carlena especially was the one that said, I want to stay in Lahaina, I want to stay in this house.
Oh.
And that was her big thing. She wanted to stay in the house. But now that the house is gone, it's almost like, I don't want to stay here anymore. But she, you know, she was on vacation. She
was
Mark
in
always says she
California.
left with a backpack, came back with intentions of taking a bath in her shower that Mark just redid, and came back with sleeping on her own bed. You know, she thought she'd sleep on her own bed and see her own things. I just went to a Best Buddies Leadership Conference in Indiana. I went for my first one. It was so exciting, and I brought back gifts for Carlena because she, you know, she loves the sweatshirts, loves the shirts, and keychains and whatnot. I had this whole pile of things that for her when she gets back.
She never
And
got it.
she never got it. She never even saw it. I didn't
Yeah.
take a picture of it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think I needed to.
Right.
And
Right.
it just, she's never seen it.
Because she
And,
left in July.
yeah.
She came back after the
Right
fire.
after the fire.
Right after
That
the
fire, that Friday.
So, you know, it was,
And then she was in Honolulu that
I was-
weekend, came back on Monday.
yeah.
She never unpacked.
I told him, I said, if you just grabbed my suitcase, I would have been good because I had most of my makeup things, you know, not makeup, but, you know, like my creams and all that stuff.
Toiletry
It's
kind
like
of
I had,
stuff, yeah.
I had my things right in the suitcase.
Because
If
we
you just
thought,
grab
we
that.
thought that we were going to go back into the house.
Right.
We never thought anything like this. You know, this was like,
Yeah.
you know, something that we never dreamed of or thought of. Because all the fires, all the storms, we leave and we come right back.
Right.
And I told you, like, we were talking earlier about the fact that King Kamehameha Third School, when it first burned, we were just right down the street from it.
And
we
this,
just
what year
watched
was
it
that?
burn.
What year was that?
That was like 1970, maybe 69 or maybe 70, something like that.
So King Kamehameha III Elementary, where you guys went to elementary school, has burned down twice.
Right, because it burned down then, and it was right in front of the fire station. It was arson. And that arsonist actually set 2 more fires. One was at Lahaina Luna High School.
Oh.
And so the gymnasium was built up
Yeah.
there. Jimmy Gregg Gymnasium
It was
was built
named
up
after
there.
him, yeah.
But so that was the same arsonist. But anyhow, Camp Third, as we knew it, was gone, and so they put portables. They set up, and then those portables ended up being permanent.
Permanent.
Permanent classrooms. But anyhow, that's so yes, that's the second time. But we were just like right. So like I said, we're right in front of the fire, and we were watching it.
Right.
We didn't have to evacuate on that day, and all our houses were fine.
Life went on.
Life went
Right.
on.
Right.
So a fire didn't necessarily mean much because it
It's
gets peeled out and
extinguished.
it's done.
Right. Right.
But this one was fire with the wind, and I mean, so
This
they
was
left
something
the house.
else.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
completely.
and before they,
completely
when they were the
different.
sugar cane, the
Yeah.
plantation used to help the fire department put out the fires.
Yeah, yeah,
But now that there's no sugar cane, no
Yeah.
plantation,
yeah.
there's no help.
And you know that they used to talk about the fact that with the sugarcane there, if the fire got to the sugarcane, it would have just got to the sugarcane and
Yeah.
would have helped to harvest the sugarcane. So the fire would be more
Contained.
Contained. Right.
And it's
Whereas
been like
this
years
one
like
was,
that.
you
They
know,
Now it's
always
just
was
dry.
there.
now we don't have any
No, there's
sugarcane.
nothing. It's
Yeah.
all,
It's dry brush.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Okay, well, I would love to run the clip of the family and of the kids and just share that with everyone. So if we can please run that. That last piece, that's Marcus. He was
That's
that was through the
Cliff-
Sheraton,
yeah, the
correct?
Cliff-
So he
inside.
would do that every night?
He
Or that he was
he
working?
did it like 5
5
days a week, I
5
think.
days a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
so-
and the reason I wanted to include that because you have a whole history with the Sheraton.
Oh, I do have
that
that
goes
too.
back generations. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you guys really are Lahaina and West Side, and just such a beautiful, incredible family. And I feel so honored to know you and to call you friends. Because you really are extraordinary.
I wish we had more clips of his mom too. His mom was the baker
My
at
mom
the
was a
Lahaina
baker
Luna
for
High
like
School.
30-something years,
Really?
Golden Palace.
And
My dad
Golden
used
Palace
to
was part of it.
be
Work
at
at
the
the
Pioneer
Pioneer
Mill for 40 years. It's a long history. Yeah.
Yeah.
History.
My dad was one of the main guys, the purchasing department. So everybody used to go through him, and my mom ran all the borders like that was our kids. Because Lahaina has the only public boarding school west of the Rockies,
Right.
1831.
It's the oldest high school
Oldest
west of the
oldest
Rockies.
west of the Rockies.
Lahaina Luna High School.
Yeah.
It's an incredible
Yeah,
school.
we all went through
incredible
there.
football team. And
Everything. It's just everything about Lahaina
Yeah.
is unique.
Yep,
you know.
yeah, and this, what has always struck me about Lahaina, and specifically because I worked so closely with the high school, is the depth of pride.
Yes.
There
yeah.
is so much
Yeah.
pride on the
Yeah.
west side.
Yeah.
It's next level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it is.
so it will come back. They rebuild and come back. I know. It may take a very long time, and there's a lot of healing that needs to be
Yeah,
done.
there's a
but
lot.
it will come back,
Yeah.
and the people will lead. I do believe that. Okay, well, I did want to honor. I know that you lost several pets in this, and so if we could run a clip just to remember them, I would like to do that. So if we could please run that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You want this? I'm so sorry. Animals, they're just.
They're definitely part
Yeah,
of the
we
family.
had them for a long time.
And I think
know,
it's because all of them were from
babies.
babies.
Oh.
So yeah, from babies, hand fed. You know, but unexpected. You know.
They too will not be forgotten.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They will not. I'm so sorry, you guys.
I think even more than me, it's like they had to leave him.
Right.
I just joined them later, So,
Yeah, if we could have took them, it would be a lot different. But
but then who takes a family of 4 with that many pets to begin with?
yeah,
Well,
It's
and
just-
you
it's
did.
just it's a little bit rough. So,
And you did the best you could in that moment, and just remember that. Okay, well, I know that this has been a lot, and I thank you. And before we close, do you have a message that you would love to share to the people of Lahaina and to your community and to the people of Maui?
yeah, sure. Just stay together, stay strong. We all push through this. The families, the friends, the uncles, aunties. We're all unity. We're all going to be together, And like they said, this was the kingdom before. It's going to come back to be a strong, united place to be, Lahaina will always be home, no matter what. People go away, they still come back, and they always will call this home, no matter where they're living, And I know, growing up in all the different areas, there is a close community,
yeah.
And everybody knows each other. That's the good thing. It's like, even though people have passed, they're not going to be forgotten, All the good times you had with people, my neighbors, I had one good friend that passed. That was my neighbor that we hung out a long time. Classmates, but I'm going to remember them, and they won't be forgotten. But, and I know there's a lot more that's, that we probably will never find out where or what happened to them.
I definitely appreciate everybody. I think a little bit more.
Because you never know what can happen.
I appreciate the fact that we are, you know, like I said, we're not the only ones.
Yeah, we're not the only ones suffering.
We're not the only ones, and we can lean on each other. So if anybody else needs any ear to, you know, listen, you know, I can't do a whole lot more, but it could be a listening ear.
Yeah. You got to express yourself. It's the
And,
only way you're going to get through this.
You know, that day that I couldn't make it to the other side to go to Lahaina for the first time, I just needed my best friend. And I actually, you know, I mean, because I found out that the one that was in that picture with me, you know, Norma, and I, you know, we're both from Lahaina. We had been best friends since probably like 7th grade or whatever, and it's funny because we're so low maintenance best friends. That's what we call each other, because we basically can go without speaking for a long time, and here we are when something happens, you know, we can call. And her house was our tsunami runaway house. Anytime there was a tsunami warning, we'd go up to her
Straight
house
to
and
her
we'd
house.
hang out.
Hang
you
out,
know,
cool,
so-
have a family dinner.
yeah, and just enjoy each other's company and stuff like that. But that was what I needed that day, and so she happened to be on this side of the island, and so when we came back, I called her and
We spent a
we
couple
met up
hours
and we
with her.
spent like 2 hours at the
Talking
mall,
star at
just
the mall,
talking.
just sitting and talking.
Because neither one of us had places to go, basically, you know. She's
Right.
stuck on this side as well, not like she could go back to her home in Lahaina.
And
So-
just to be able to sit there and talk,
Yeah.
it is
And
Yeah.
to
gift in
and,
itself.
and to
Right,
and
that
to
was
bring
what
out
we
and to
needed.
laugh and to bring out all the things in the past
Mhm.
that make things happy, not things were sad, you know.
The
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah,
Exactly, you
memories.
know.
Yeah.
You know.
I love you guys so much. I love you guys, and I'm so grateful you're here right now.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
It's an
Means-
honor. It is an honor. Oh, okay. Well, I feel like we could talk for the whole day, but we do have to close. So, Mark and Kathy, it has been an absolute honor having you on the show today, and just learning about your journey and everything that has happened, and the history and the roots that you have in Lahaina, the ancestors, stories, the memories. Those will go on, and keep telling the stories.
Oh,
Please keep telling the stories. Keep the memories alive. It's so important. Now more than ever. Now more than ever. I've
Right,
learned so.
right.
We've known each other for a decade, and I've learned things that I never knew about you and your connections to Lahaina. So please keep telling the stories. They're beautiful. Okay, well, if you're interested in learning more about World Central Kitchen or Best Buddies, or would like to volunteer with either organization, you can visit Best Buddies International's website, which is www.bestbuddies.org, and World Central Kitchen, their website is www.wck.org. And I'm sure they would be happy to have volunteers anywhere around the world. Both extraordinary organizations. Thank you for joining us for Sentience, Conversations About Lives Being Lived. All episodes can be watched on Akaku channels in Maui County and streamed everywhere on the Akaku Maui Stream app. You can also view all episodes on our YouTube channel, Sentience Conversations About Lives Being Lived. And follow us on Instagram at Sentience Show for updates, guest highlights, and opportunities to be on the show. I am Alison Samalita, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.